Today you're going to hear one of the most amazing stories I think we've ever encountered by a bright young lady with a tremendous future in front of her. And sometimes we don't know where God is leading us until a few things get stripped away. Now, I don't mean He's micromanaging bad things to happen to us, but when we're in the valley, sometimes it's then more than at the mountaintop when He speaks to us in His still small voice and changes our hearts to be about the vision that He has for our lives. Haley, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome. I'm so glad I'm here.
Me too. You have an amazing story, and I can't wait for people to hear it. I'd like to start up with where you grew up and what home life was like, and what your relationship with God was like in your home.
I think I accepted Christ when I was around three. I don't really know, but as I got older, I went to middle school, high school, and my dad was a pastor, so naturally in the home, like we were very big on the Lord and just praying and reading books, like good Christian books, and then movies and like all that stuff. And I remember being very happy and loving it. But once I got in high school, I started kind of pushing that away a little bit. I was the person who, yes, I'm a Christian, yes, I love the Lord, but I also love this other stuff, and so the Lord's just going to sit on the back burner for a while while I go do my thing.
Exactly.
So
I understand exactly what you're saying. When did you pick up your first basketball?
Oh, geez. Probably, I was little. I don't remember how little, but you know how like I know for high school, like we run like little kids basketball camps and stuff for real little kids. So I was in all that stuff when I was little.
I'm sure you were. You're a great athlete. You played volleyball too?
Yes, I love sports. I love it. Not as much. I'm not involved as much now, but before the accident, it was my life. It was my life. So
you knew pretty well early in high school that you were going to be a college athlete too.
Yes, that was
your dream.
That was the dream. My grandma, she was my biggest fan. She was great, and I'm not going to cry right now. She was my biggest fan, and she came to all my games, and she really pushed me, and I know that it was her dream for me to play college basketball, but it was so much mine too. Well,
you lit it up your junior year. Did you play varsity your freshman or sophomore year?
I played JV my freshman year, and then which was really good for me. Two of my best friends were on varsity, which was initially kind of hard, but I like dress and I played some varsity, but it was really good for me to learn how to be a leader on JV first. Sophomore year, I was on varsity and I started. So.
All right, your junior year, you averaged how many per game?
16.5.
And so you're lighting it up.
I loved it.
I'm reading about you in the newspapers. I see you on television, on the local news. You're at Norwell High School, and you played Belmont in the sectional. Was that in the championship or a semifinal?
It was the semifinal.
And they're your arch rival?
Yes, they are.
And what transpired in that game?
That's just really hard.
I love the emotion I'm seeing, because I'm feeling, I know exactly what I would feel.
Oh my gosh, it was awful, because I remember during regular season we beat them. See, I remember all this stuff. We beat them I think it was at least by 20. We had our eye on Elmhurst the whole time. Like, we just overlooked Belmont because we beat them by 20 in regular season, and Elmhurst was like, that was the big game. Those were the people we needed to beat. So we were focusing on the championship, not really on Belmont. But we played them, and it's really sad because it was my last game, first of all, and it was the worst I've ever played in my entire life. I missed layups, I missed shots, like it was just awful. And so we played horribly, and we lost by 3.
Well, you're wrestling with that, and you have your exit interviews, I assume, the next day or a day or two later.
Right, we have yeah, it was 2 days later. So.
And it's your 17th birthday?
It is my 17th birthday.
And you have those exit interviews. Your friends are going to take you out.
Yes.
You're leaving. Just pick it up on what you know from where you leave the school.
Well, we were all staying after school. Like there was probably it was freshman, JV, and varsity. We were all in the gym just shooting around and messing around and stuff, waiting for our turn to go in and talk to the coaches. Well, I didn't remember any of this right after, but then people would be like, do you remember this? And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's where I was. I remember when we were like playing basketball or whatever. Well, I remember that I was one of the last people to go, and so I was like probably the fourth one in the gym. And so I went in there, me and coach talked, which P.S., I love my coach to death. He's amazing. Anyways, that being said, I had my meeting, and then one of my other friends was done with her meeting, and everybody decided, hey, we're gonna go to El Camino. That was my favorite restaurant. And my sister was still in the gym because she still had to go, but I just went ahead and left with Alyssa. And I don't remember walking out to the car. I just remember talking about going to El Camino. I don't remember anything else. I kind of remember the meeting, but I don't remember anything else. So.
Okay. So you get in the car, and you're a passenger, not the driver. And I think it started to snow and ice early in the afternoon before you left. And did your mom send you a text about being careful?
Yes, Mom. See, I don't remember this, which I know she probably did text me because she texts me that kind of stuff all the time, which is what a mom would do.
Right.
But she just said, I love you, have fun, and I'll see you when you get home. So at least that's what she said, and I believe that. So from there, we just got in the car and started heading down the road. So. Okay,
and then I don't expect you to remember the details, but you've been told and you've seen.
Right.
So could you describe what happened?
Well, I know that about 20 feet from the school, one of my good friends, Tim Baker, lives like right there, and that's where the accident occurred, or at least really nearby. Apparently we were driving, it was really bad roads, and we ran head-on into a school bus that was going to pick up the boys basketball team because they had a game at Southern Wells or something. I don't remember any of this, but we ran, it hit on the driver's side of the car, and then the car spun out, causing my brain to twist, and that's where the head trauma and everything happened. So, but I didn't hit my head on anything.
It's the motion.
It was the twist, and plus I had a concussion a week earlier, so that that probably had a lot to do with it too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Or it had some kind of effect, I'm sure.
So, are you the only one hurt at this point?
Yeah, I mean, well, Alyssa had some facial injuries, and she had a bloody nose.
Alyssa's a driver?
Yes.
One of your best friends?
Yes, one of my really good friends. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else wrong. But I'm definitely not saying that to say like, oh, look at me, I had all these injuries, and Alyssa just had, you know.
Obviously, I understand.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So.
So you get rushed to the closest hospital, I assume.
Right. They took me to Lutheran. They couldn't call in the Samaritan just because the weather was too bad. So they took me in an ambulance, and I don't really know how we all got there, but they called my dad. My dad was at the license bureau taking a test to be able to drive a bus, like for campus life and stuff. And normally he wouldn't pick up the phone, but he picked it up, and the person on the other line told him that I had been in a bad car accident. So Mom and Dad just said how that was the longest ride to the hospital that they've ever.
He doesn't know if you're going to just walk out. He doesn't know if you've passed away. He doesn't know anything. They
don't know anything because nobody really knew anything at that point.
So they get there, and what do they see?
Not really sure what they saw, besides the fact that there were already at least 100 people at the hospital.
To support?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a really good feeling for them, but at the same time, they're still like scrambling, like what's going on? And the doctors really wouldn't tell them for a while. So I'm sure that was really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you were in a coma. And the pictures of all the equipment hooked up to you, it's a scary, scary sight. If you see the picture of you before you got in that car and you see that picture, I mean, it would devastate any parent. And you were in that coma for a week.
Yes, sir.
And the whole community rallies around you. I mean, it dominated the news. Businesses put up signs to pray for Haley. And then I guess what we could call a miracle happens here in 7 days. And can you tell me how it unfolded?
It's really incredible. It's really incredible to think of all the people that really supported me and my family. I didn't really see it because I was in the hospital. But I saw pictures and I heard from other people their perspective and how they viewed the whole thing and what was going in their minds, like whenever they had to watch all this happen. I'm very thankful that those people were there for my family during that time. Like, yeah, I'm happy they were there for me too, but I didn't affect me as much because I wasn't able to, what's the word? I wasn't conscious. So how am I supposed to know that? But oh my gosh, the prayers, it's incredible. Like, there were so many prayers, like people in different countries even. And I've never known the power of prayer until this point. I was overwhelmed, like, that people cared that much.
Well, nobody knows that it's going to be a week. I mean, they thinking, is this a year? Is this 2 years? Is this her whole life?
Right.
Is it going to be done today? And you just don't know.
Right.
But can you remember coming out of the coma?
Everybody asks that. They always ask, do you remember just like waking up and thinking what's going on? Well, no. You would think that you would remember waking up and think, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, why am I in a bed? Like, that's not how it is at all. It's one of those things where you just, day by day, start remembering things. So like one day, I remembered that my finger hurt really bad, and I was just trying to like scramble and get out of my bed or pull the cords out. And then the next day I remember watching James and the Giant Peach with my dad. And then another day I remember all my friends around my bed.
This is all in the hospital?
Yeah. And then I vaguely remember when they transported me from Lutheran to Parkview. I kind of remember some of that stuff, but I mean, it was a few days before I finally like came to and was aware of things that were happening. So
it's sort of like you're sleeping and you're coming to, you're sleeping and you're coming to in a way, and you just get it little by little. And during that time, your mom and dad were staying at a Children's Hope House, Matt Anthony's Children's Hope House, a little bit.
They would go there to shower or they wouldn't stay there.
It was just a place to kind of get freshened up and get renewed. And
I know that my mom said that she never wanted to leave. And the one time, this is kind of funny, because I remember this. The one time that she did leave, she went over there to shower real fast at the Hope House. And the whole time I remember being like, where's mom? Where's mom? And I mean, obviously, I don't think I was still coming out of my coma, because this is just one thing I remember. But I remember Dad being there and me just like asking that over and over and over, like for a long time. And not a long time, she hurried back. But to me, it seemed like a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's funny how kids always want their mom when they're hurt.
Oh, yeah. My Haley.
Yeah.
My Haley's quite a bit younger than you are. Will do that with me, and I really kid her when let's say I'm the first person she sees in the morning, or we've been apart, and then here we are in the afternoon, and mom's not there. She'll go, "Where's mom?" I said, "I'm Daddy. Here I am. What do you want to do next? Where's mom?" And I totally ignore it, and she'll do it like 10 or 20
it's
times.
It's so true.
It is. But I remember we did the Mad Anthony's auction and that night together before the event, and that had to be really close to when you got out.
Yeah.
I remember you didn't want to talk much. You would still get dizzy. Your head hurt.
That was traumatic. That was traumatic.
We put you up there in front of 1,000 people.
Nope. Oh, that was awful. I didn't think I would ever talk in front of people again, but I think God used that. I think He totally used that, because now I'm just not scared at all. Yeah,
well, I think we raised a lot of money that night, too. All I had to do was say,
oh, really?
Haley Chaney, 100,000, 200,000, you bidding. You know, it was really
I didn't even know you were there.
Yep, that was me. I got a face that's hard to remember, because it goes back, my complexion goes back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So when do you get out of the hospital? Like, how do they know you're okay enough? And
right. Like, I wasn't able to walk right after, like, when I got to Parkview. I had to be in a wheelchair, like, all the time. I had to be helped to go to the restroom, helped to the shower, like, everywhere. So daily, I would have physical therapy, and there would be somebody his name's Doug Helsum. He's great. He would help me walk around. And once I could do that consistently and, like, for a while, like, they're not just going to say, oh, she can walk, okay, she can go. No, it had to be consistent to where I was stable and comfortable with it. So once I could do that, I guess speech therapy, I don't know what the sign was that I could leave.
But how long were you in the hospital total?
Gosh, I was in Lutheran for about a week because I was in a coma. And then I was transferred to Parkview, where I was there for 3 weeks, 3.5. I mean, so really it was just like a month.
Do you remember leaving Parkview after that 30-day period?
I do. I remember leaving Parkview, and I remember being so happy, just because the whole time I'm in the hospital, I'm thinking, I just want to see my friends. I just want to go to school. I don't want to be here. I want things to go back to normal. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, once I get home, everything's going to be normal again. And
it wasn't.
No. No.
Yeah, and you're really wanting to get back in the game as well.
Yeah.
So what's rehab like? How long does it take, and how do you finally get to the point where you can walk on the basketball court again?
Well, I got back to school. I started off with volleyball season. That's like a lot of hand-eye coordination, so when the ball was coming over the net, I would see it, and my muscles would remember, like, what to do, but I couldn't move. I was just like, that is so frustrating. I was just, like, ready to go get the ball, and I knew what I had to do to get it, but I just couldn't, and that's where the anger started to set in. Oh, my gosh. And then my depth perception was off. I would think the ball was closer to me than what it really was, or whatever, but that started off at the beginning of the year, and then throughout the season of volleyball, my muscles started remembering, and I don't know, it just clicked.
Wow.
So that was frustrating, but it came to me faster than basketball did.
Terrific. So basketball comes slower, and what's the season like in the first 12 games when you're playing?
Well, the thing is, when I was in the hospital, I was at Parkview doing rehab, and everybody thought, like, oh my gosh, Haley, I bet you love physical therapy. Like, I bet that's your favorite thing because you love doing that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I hate it. It's the worst one, because it showed me everything that I couldn't do and how far I had to go. But the whole time, like, I would be sitting on one of those balance balls, and they would have like a cone over here, and I would have to reach to get it, which I wouldn't be able to because I would lose my balance and fall off the ball. Well, I'd be like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm still going to be high point scorer. I'm still going to be one of the better players. Basketball's always going to be there for me, so I'm not worried about it.
Is there this small competitive nature and determination inside you?
Oh, my word. Totally. It's what drove me to do what I did. Like, not saying that it was all me, because it wasn't even half of me. It was totally God. But you know how, like, we can't just expect God to do everything for us. Like, we've got to have some motivation to help and do things. Yeah. And so in that way, like, basketball's kind of what got me back into just the motivation to get better. And so it was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
So did you go right to averaging the 16 points a game? Or are you playing short minutes and just kind of trying to get the feel of it? What's it like?
Well, I always have to share this. I remember it was like the first practice of our basketball season, and we all stood on the baseline, and we all had 2 basketballs, okay? And we're supposed to dribble, like bouncing at the same time, and get to half court, and then turn around and come back. And so we start, and I am the last one to cross them. I couldn't keep the 2 balls dribbling at the same time. Like, it would bounce off my foot, or I would just lose it.
And this is something where you would have been first prior to the accident.
And so I don't think, I mean, it was dead silent because everyone's probably like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so bad for her, or that's embarrassing. Like, and it was. I was so humbled just to go through that and to feel so humiliated. It was one of the worst things. I mean, if that's one of the worst things, then I've got it pretty good. But just because basketball was my identity. So coming into the season and not even being close to where I was the year before, I lost everything. I didn't know who I was. And everybody would say, Haley, like, look at you. You're doing so good. Like, you're such a miracle. It's so encouraging for me to see you out there. And I'm thinking, you don't understand. Like, I'm glad that I could help you, and I'm glad that God could use me to help you, but I've lost everything.
Your identity's in what you were doing.
Yeah, like, I'm glad you gained something from this, but I have nothing now. So I think some bitterness, definitely some anger, not towards people, but I targeted it all towards the Lord just because I didn't know what he was doing. I remember the day before our first game, we just had practice. Our game was the next day. And Coach wanted to talk to me. So I went in there and he was like, Haley, we're not going to start yet. And I was just like at that point, it's just like kind of numb where you're just like, okay, like that's okay, I don't care. Because that's kind of one of the coping mechanisms is I don't care, it's whatever.
You can feel now what you were feeling then.
Oh, man. Now I can. Well, I remember I went home and just cried. I was in the shower and I was just crying because I was just like, what is going on? And I didn't ever cry. I replaced that with anger and bitterness, but that was just what broke me. So I didn't start, and that's what kind of the rest of the season I wouldn't start. Like at the first game, I started, but I only played for like 2 minutes. And then from there, I would start sitting the bench and then going in like after 2 or 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up not playing. I'd maybe play like a quarter and a half. And then I didn't play hardly at all, maybe like the last 2 minutes of the game. And then 13th game of the season, I hit my head and I was just like, I mean, minor concussion. I'm just thinking, part of it's like anger that I don't want to quit. Right. Like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit just because something's hard. Mm-hmm. But then the other part of it is like, life is more. There's more, even though at that point I didn't think there was anything more. Right. Like, basketball was it. So losing basketball was like...
Mm-hmm. It's like losing your life.
It's like everything.
So you start coaching. You still dress and you sit there on the bench and you coach. And then on senior night, there was something kind of special that both teams agreed to have happen. Can you describe what happened and how that unfolded? Our
coach talked to their coach and was like, hey, is it okay if we do this? And he was like, yeah, it sounds great. So they got the ball and we gave them like a free layup. And then Kylie got the ball to bounce and passed it to Andrea, who's my other best friend. And she dribbled it to like a little past half court and then passed it to me at the foul line or the free throw line. And I got to dribble in and shoot an uncontested layup. And
you made it.
Yeah, thank goodness. How embarrassing would that be?
And pandemonium.
Oh, so I made it. It was a surreal moment.
Sure was.
It was a great way to end the season.
Along this journey, I think it was your senior year, you were baptized. And you felt like there was something new in your heart as far as where God was leading you. Can you talk about that?
I knew that baptism I knew that getting baptized was something that I needed to do. And that's whenever I started to kind of understand why everything happened to me. There was still so much anger and frustration with everything, but I knew that God had something more. And so I felt led to get baptized. But at the same time, I look back on it now, and I didn't fully understand the significance of it. I knew it was significant, but there's a big difference between knowing something's significant and knowing why.
Right.
So it was a step in the right direction. In our spiritual lives, it's not where you finally just get something and then you have it together.
Mm-hmm. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
It's Restoration Road.
It is Restoration Road. But I like to look at it as it's something that happens in layers. You take a couple steps forward and you figure something out, and then you might take a couple steps backward, but you remember what you learned. So through that, I think it was a step in the right direction, and it was good for me. But it made me want to pursue more, but at the same time, I didn't fully understand, and now I'm growing too. So
I think what's so interesting is how you're seeking God to have your life be an act of worship, a ministry used by Him in the sweet spot of your giftedness. And I have this acronym GATE, G-A-T-E, and I think you're learning how to unlock that gate and have these things aligned in your life. And it's your gifts, it's your abilities, it's your talent, the unique identity of who you always were created to be, and it's your experiences. And as you align those, you're going to find exactly where He wants you to be, and you're going to thrive, and you already are. It has been such a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
thank you.
Our identity can often come in what we do, but our identity actually is designed to precede what we do. And I would just ask you today, are you wrapped up in what you're doing and finding your identity in that? Or are you finding who you are in Christ will determine what you are to do in Christ, which will determine where you are to go in Christ? I'd invite you to take Haley's challenge and seek Him with all your heart. Maybe hit the pause button on some things that you just need to stop and just bask in the presence of who He is. And through the Word of God, the people of God, and the Spirit of God, find His vision for your life. And then take steps toward that. He will make you new, and He will use you to bring His restoration to others.